So here we have a little Trek Antelope. This is by one of my old customers from Northern Cycles. He contacted me on Instagram and was like, hey, I got this little Trek Antelope for my daughter and she's getting really excited about riding bikes and wants to ride every day. And says the rear derailleur isn't shifting or working and wanted some help with it. And the local school district's on strike, so she can actually give it up for a day or three. And brought it to me, see if I can get this thing shifting. So let's do a little video on what to do when everything's wing nutty and weird. Headset's loose. The brakes are sitting on the fenders. It's probably fine. The shifter does... Oh, it's trying to click. That's basically nothing. We can try and do a Shimano lube and service on the shifters. This rear derailleur is set up quite horribly. The V-tension is not adjusted at all, so basically the pulley is running into the cassette. I suggested some street tires. He said that will be next. Oh wow, this back wheel is not even in. I'm guessing that everything's set up to the back wheel being in crooked. Probably have to adjust the brakes and all sorts of stuff now. Yep. Yep, everything's adjusted to the wheel being crooked. Fenders on knobs are not legit. These fenders are too tight and rubbing the wheel. That's probably what keeps the wheel from going in straight, is the fenders being on too low. So there's a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to do a little tune-up. Cables move relatively freely. They're not frozen. More or less. The brake's on way too tight. I gotta ditch this hoodie, it's ridiculous. So basically what this bike needs is a tune-up. It probably needs a major tune-up with like hub services and wheel truing and all that stuff, but just gonna start, see what's up. I'm gonna see if we can fix the real problem first, and then the headset, and we'll go from there. Grab all my tens. These pads are pushed really far out. I'm gonna go really loose. That's barely tight at all. I'm just gonna get them out of the way. Oh yeah, just this one to try and make up the wheel being crooked instead of straightening the wheel. That's how that sort of thing goes. That's how that sort of thing goes. Got a little amateur wrenching going on. I think that's why he brought it to me. So I got to the edge of his mechanical aptitudes and realized he wasn't really solving the problems. That's cool. That's normal. Release. How are you still stuck in the wrong gear, baby? Turn the V-tension in a whole bunch. See if we can get this pulley off of the cassette. Next, we're going to see what's going on with... So this cable feels terrible. It's new, it's stainless. You can probably lube it and solve these problems. If not, we'll have to replace some housing and stuff, but let's try. And this is about 50% of what a tune-up is. 50% is like wiping your bike off. The other 50% is lubing some old housing and touching some barrel adjusters. That's what you're paying $69 for. So half the time either you're getting screwed, you pay for a tune-up, or the shop's losing their ass. People bring in bikes that do major amounts of work and only want to pay the $69 tune-up, and you end up doing $300 of work on a bike. I've been there a lot. It's kind of magical when a bike really barely needs anything. And I'm going to charge $69. I'm only doing like 3 drops on each one and let it sink in a little bit. Should probably do the rest while we're at it. Yeah. Back brake's open, we can get in here. Kinda. Sorta. I miss having a workbench. The old 6mm housing, or 6mm cables that are real thick. Kind of moves. No ferrules. Why would you have ferrules? See if we can open this front brake while we're at it. Kind of sucks. I have to put this bike upside down on the stand at some point and drip some up the stem. The underside up. Front driver cable's the only rusty one, but it's also, hilariously, the only one with no issues. Pop you up and out. Lube you. Try to remember which order these cables go back in, otherwise it gets awkward. There we go. Get it down out of the way where gravity can do the work. Okay. Now what I think's going on is the shifter. I've done a couple other videos sort of very lightly and barely doing the shifters when they have no clicks. Maybe the shifter's dead, maybe. But maybe the old Shimano grease is just all dried up and it's being a brat. So let's take a look. I'm going to roll this brake lever up and out of the way for fun. I'm going to open this thing up. Usually I just spray stuff in and hope that solves the problem. It usually does. Sometimes you got to open them up. Sometimes you got to chip away at the old dried grease a little bit. Work the pulls back and forth with some fresh lube and stuff like that. I want this little screw on the bottom to make my life really easy and open the shifter up, but that doesn't really look like that's what's happening. This is one piece of plastic. What else do I have to pull off here, bud? Gotta pull the barrel adjuster out. Like, good. It's like they're all broken or loose. There we go. Come on, nice and gentle. You don't want to break the old plastic. Oh, look at that! The shifter is full of pine needles, spider webs, all sorts of cool stuff. The correct thing for saving old shifters is T9, BioShield, lubes, protects, cleans, blah blah blah, a lot of words. Stuff's a silicone-based lube. Apparently you can use any silicone-based lube. I used to have this stuff in a spray bottle. It was heaven. You just blast it inside here and just fill up everything. I'm just gonna dump some around and all over. Silicone-based lubes, like T9, are the same chemical compound as the old Shimano grease. So they will soften the old grease up and make things start working again. So right now, this is the little pawl, and it's supposed to spring back and forth. And that spring's supposed to wiggle and move. It's supposed to catch these little indents, which are like the gears. It's supposed to release things, do things. Oh, that one's already starting to move. But this still needs to come forward. Is it just the spring? Or is this just tight? Oh, look at that. Now it's starting to move, starting to move, starting to move. This is what we want. It's just the spring being all tight and crappy. We want the spring all the way back in. It's like real slow and crappy, but it's starting to work its way in there a little bit. That's the old grease. It's real thick, almost like candle wax. It's doing what it's supposed to. Click, catch the next pawl, click, catching, click, catching, click. So it is coming. Go back, the same thing. But this one's the one that's catching. And it's working. Cable, get back in the hole. So this is working. Let's give her some more blasts. Stop being sticky springs. And that's not working. Oh, there it is, there it is. I'm totally hiding it. It's still only kind of working. Come on. Working it. Working it. The spring can be worn out too, but I think it's just sticky. Put some tension on the cable. Now you play this a little bit, and it comes back to life. It starts working great. If you then put it in the garage for 6 months and don't ride your bike, it just freezes up again and starts sucking. You gotta blast it with some more T9. But if you ride it, it will usually be totally cool. It'll stay nice and easy and working. So I think this shifter is totally savable, and that's super exciting because I do have another one. I have it up on eBay for $35, the same 7-speed URLX, but do you want to pay $35 for a shifter? Not me. I mean, I do all the time, but I don't want to. It is really, really open. It would be really, really easy to spray T9 in, even with it on. But it's good we got to get in there and look and really play with those pawls before going, it's not working, it doesn't work. Got to really wiggle them back and forth. I want to play with this headset. It's definitely loose. I can grab it down low and up high. I can feel it wiggle back and forth. Oversized, 1.1/8" threadless. You got to have a larger wrench, and of course this one doesn't fit. The 36 is just for this. It's all like, nah, bro, nah. Let's try this weird dude. Okay, that one fits. So even though it's loose, it was tightened down loose, or wrong. Now most threaded stuff comes loose for a couple of reasons. It was either not put on tight enough, or there's literally not enough spacers. You can see the spacer. Literally not enough spacers, so the headset lock nut, instead of locking down on the spacers, is locking down actually on the top of the threads, hitting the actual fork itself. And you cannot get it tight enough. Boy, it feels loose now. That really might be the problem. Open it up, hope bearings don't pour all over the floor. Doing bearings upside down is always smarter and safer, especially all French stuff and things where it really probably is loose bearings. This is probably a cage bearing. I see the cage. Now, I'm not going to pull this apart, I'm not going to clean it, I'm going to sneak and grease it. Got this pain in the ass little grease gun. I think it's really some sort of food thing. But I stuffed it full of grease. I'm just going to shoot some in. This thing actually really hurts my hand pushing grease. I need to get something way less dumb. Just get a little bit up onto that bearing surface. When the bearing comes back down, it'll smush it in there and get rolled in. And do the same thing up top. Sneak, 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 sneak. The right thing to do would be pull the whole thing apart, clean it, put some fresh bearings in, a bunch of fresh grease. But no one's ever done the right thing on a tune-up ever, so this will work, and it's inexpensive, comparatively, relatively. So in theory, there's nothing broken or janked up in there. We can just get it tight enough to where it still spins real smooth. There's no play. Spacer on. And in theory, there's enough threads in here we can tighten this all down without it bottoming out. The only way to really be certain is to put it on, take the stem out, and take a look inside. And there's a good chance that it needs another millimeter spacer or something. Well, we'll find out if the stem comes out. Hey, alright. And of course, this through stem nonsense is grabbing the brake and it's not long enough. Have to totally unhook the front brake cable to pull the stem out. It's a real genius design, mountain bike guys from the 90s. Not my idea of a good time. Hang this jerk out of the way. Oh yeah, so even just by hand. Oh yes, even just by hand you can see there's this big thick spacer in here, like a dust shield, and it's basically touching the top of that fork crown. Touching the top. See the threads in here, this gray metal hitting in this black rubber. So it's as I feared, this literally can't get tight enough. It will always come loose very slightly. It's a stupid design. It needs another spacer, so I'm going to go find one. Might as well get everything else taken care of, and then we'll come back to that. Ugh. It's probably in my pocket. Don't put tools in your pocket, it's foolish. Oh, Shimano. You make designs. They're for reasons I might never understand. Oh no, the fender's up more. This brake is all not gonna work anymore. Should reread his email. See if he's offering me money. See if I want to go insane on it. Everything, of course, is dumb. I just need like a 1 mil spacer. Or 2, you know, like something real skinny. This one that's on there is like a 3 or something. And it's got this stupid little tooth, because this is threaded to hold things in place. I don't have a lot of 1/8" stuff. I have mostly in 1 inch. Because that's the stuff I'm really into. So the way it's going to work is I get rid of this tooth spacer, put a non-tooth one on that's just 2 millimeters thicker. Now I should be able to get this dude on, have it thread on without bottoming out. But we don't have the stupid tooth washer. Honestly, I don't really think tooth washers work. More often than not, I see it was jammed up in the threads and damaging the threads. I don't know. I don't care. We'll see what happens. It's a start. Rub some fresh grease in the steer. I'm using a plastic spoon. I don't know why. I have been for months. It's stupid. It doesn't work at all. The handle will work a million times better. Yep. Cool. I also have to put it back right where it was. The cable tension shouldn't be anywhere near correct. Luckily, it's got a real rust line to a grease line, so I can get it right back pretty dang close. This is a bad design. Headset cable stops are a much better design, as far as I'm concerned. Alright, 2 problems basically solved. I mean, this isn't really solved. I'll put it on the ground. I really do final double checks. I like to be able to do it on the ground so I can put it sideways, put the brake on, and rock it back and forth, really make sure there's no play at all. And the stand, and like this, you're only going to get close. So that's always my last double check after tune-ups. See if this cable's moving freely yet. Doing killer, bro. It ain't awesome, but it's probably good enough. Gotta roll this brake down out of the way now. Play with all this stuff. Both these barrel adjusters are completely unthreaded, which might mean totally stripped out, or it might just mean totally unthreaded. Well, it has like 2 or 3 turns. Same with this one. It's got like, I don't even know if we can get this one in. It's got like 2 threads. Functionally useless. Oh, there it goes. Ah! Spring was just all frozen. Cool. Saving the day. Come on, jerk. Probably shouldn't mess with that one. Basically think I'm going to have to get this fender up out of the way first. If there's even going to be a chance of getting the wheel in straight. Loosen this bracket. Loosen these stays. They slide in and out. These things usually just strip. They're total garbage. Strongly recommend replacing all the hardware on fender sets, honestly. I want to like them. Flat bike fenders are great if you never use any of their hardware. Replace it all with decent stuff you have sitting around. want to move is rocket tight. What we don't want to move is super loose. Slide up. Slide up, jerk. There we go. Slide this up kind of as much as I can. Because especially fenders with knobby tires is not legit. I know you see Ultra Romance do it and all the cool guys. It's super dangerous. This knob catches any of your fender stuff. You are flying over the handlebars. It is so stupid. It's a la mode in the fashion, but don't do it. Use smaller knobs or don't go riding fender bikes on gravel. You'd need knobs. Most likely I assume that no one doing that is actually riding any mountain bike trails or gravel. Don't use fenders. If you use fenders, don't use knobs. If a tire this fat, you don't need knobs. People try and make 90s mountain bike and rando a thing at the same time. It sucks. Turd. Okay, now the wheel goes in nice and straight. Now this thing's up and not touching. It's not in at all. In. Getting this up away from these knobs a little bit more. Does not need to be tight on the knobs. Everyone thinks fenders need to be tight. That's totally insane. You want like 20 millimeters in your fenders, otherwise you're gonna get stuff piling up in there and screwing your whole life up. Oh my god. Stupid cheap fenders. Why? I don't care. You can just be up super high, it's safer. If you don't want to adjust, you only got to adjust. This was my bike, I'd adjust it, but it ain't. Making a look and it seems pretty even side to side before I tighten this side down. This side slides and adjusts. Wheel spins. Make sure the shift cable and housing, everything's seated. Get it all the way down into the lowest gear. Probably missed most of that. That's great. That'll be fun. High quality video content. I rolled that upper barrel adjuster all the way in because it's only got like 2 threads. I'd like to roll this one in too, but of course it's rocket tight. Possibly cross-threaded or possibly just old and dirty. Maybe a little lube will solve all my problems. Ugh, this rag's too dirty. Maybe it'll solve all my problems, maybe it'll solve none of them. Kinda. Come on. There we go. Come on. Thread in, thread out. Clean those threads up, get nice and easy. Move freely. Cool. Rough set that. Back more or less looks lined up. What happened? But it was working. Oh. Come on, bud. It was working. It was working. I had a bunch of tension to the cable. It seems like it kind of works. Maybe I need to really take that thing off again and take a look. But you were working. I was so happy that I saved you. Why would you work upside down, not right side up? I've had them stop working again, but it's usually from sitting around. Not usually for a minute or two, but for like a week or two. Customer doesn't bother to come pick up their stuff. So annoying. Unthread all this junk again. What changed? Don't want to be free. If I wipe you down, can I get the old hard grease off? You add tension. Oh, loves it. Being upside down, it loves it. I'm just going to leave it upside down while I play with it for a while. So why most shops just replace this junk, because That would be cheaper and faster and no. That would be less expensive for the shop's labor, just to replace it, instead of futzing with the old one trying to save it. And, you know, cost the customer more money, which is what most shops really care about. Money, money, money. This cable's a little mangled, which means it's going to shift like crap and really needs a new cable. But it's cheap stuff. Maybe it'll be fine. Well, I know it's not going to be fine. I know I need a new cable. Thanks, it's already in the last gear. Man, this thing is just messing with my mind. Well, can't shift into the big ring. The limit screw is definitely wrong. Piece of housing's probably way too tight. Bet you this chain and cassette are totally worn out. You know, normal stuff. Everything is wrong. Making sure it can't overshift. Almost shifts down nice. Yeah, there's something going on. Oh, the barrel adjuster's still unthreaded. Lol, how could it shift right? I've got it all messed up. It's shifting incredibly well for being all jacked up. Explains so much stuff though. Why? Definitely mangled. Wouldn't love to run a tap in that. All the barrel adjuster threads are mangled. And you can see there's still no gap here. The pulley and the big ring's teeth are touching. It needs more detention. Even though it's a long cage trailer, even though it's not a huge cage. Roll this thing all the way in, it probably won't even be enough. You put it upside down so the whole head of the screw sits on top of the lip too. That's like 2 millimeters of clearance. Really, that'd be 10, but it works. Oh, now there's no tension at all. Oh my god, this thing is a nightmare. It just keeps shifting on me. I don't know why. I'm never in the gear I think I'm in. So I keep trying to set cable tension in the wrong gear. Because the stupid head's probably not seated. Man, I give up. What a monster. What a nightmare. A little less tension. I can move the barrel adjusters out a little bit, but I can't take any tension off. Ugh. Well, it shifts shockingly well for how bad it shifts. Putting it in the big ring on the front to test the back again. And make sure it shifts. Just trying to miss shifts on this Paul again. Kind of works. We'll go test ride it. I might get mad and just replace everything. I have no idea if he's going to pay me or want to pay me. Jeez, it's all so poorly set up. Or what. I am so covered in silicone lube though. I'll make the "that's what she said" joke. Put this thing right side up. Play with it some more. If this doesn't solve the problem, it's getting a new shifter, a new cable, all new housing, quite possibly a new rear derailleur. I gave up on this last night. Everything seemed kind of hopeless. It's not really clear for the fender to be up this high, and the brake to work, and the shifter's only kind of working, and all the barrel adjusters are frozen, and blah blah blah. So I walked away, as you should be, stressed out. I just came back and double checked it, and everything's still working. It's shifting. Last time I flipped the lever upside down, it stopped shifting. But this time it's working fine. I got the fender up really high so it doesn't hit the tire. It's way higher than it needs to be. I could probably lower it and make the brake fit. So I'll do that. Now the wheel's in actually straight, I can sort of try and align the fender and not fight it. see we do that before. I wrote this guy a big long email like everything's not really right. I want to pull the entire bike apart and put it back together from scratch. You know, you want to spend $400 on an overhaul kind of thing, which he has $20 on this bike. I doubt he does. So I'm still going to send him a letter and be like, he can work like 60, 70% good for a little bit of money, or I can make it perfect for a lot of money. But, you know, it's for his daughter, and she rides to school, and kids really don't care. It doesn't work at all, and that's the only reason why they're having a problem. She'd ride it every day like that anyways, just stuck in one gear in the middle. So, we'll see what he says, but let's adjust stuff and make it work. Oh, it's hilarious. I do have that hooked up. Oh, Shimano, your brakes are so frustrating. Whatever. Forever. Oh, this is stupid. That's tighter. Okay, we lower it. It's crazy. Now I can lower it back almost to where it was. Maybe just these backstays were really, really terribly aligned. With it all the way down, I think we can basically make the brake work. Basically. Yeah, no problem. Gotta tighten this thing way up. That's all. But I think we solved that problem. Probably even lower these a little bit if I wanted to. I swear this is right back where it was though. Life. All that futzing and fighting last night just to put it right back. Somehow. All that. Can't say this line without dropping the tool. All that futzing and fighting last night just to basically put it right back where it was. Kind of making sure this is centered. Oh, cheap fenders just will not move. It's up way too high, way too low. If you try and move it at all, it'll only go stick, and then giant move. Instead of just reasonable amount of moving. You know what? This is fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. Problem with shitty bikes that people aren't trying to spend money on is that you end up putting 5 times as much work into adjusting them to try and make them work. Whereas if people would just spend money on them, you can just replace the parts, pull things apart, and just actually solve the problems, putting things back together the correct way with the right parts. So it's kind of a drag. But like, whatevs. Now you are so loose. I want this up. It's all mangled. The only way to do that is with a barrel adjuster. So we'll see if we can make this barrel adjuster work at all. I feel like it was all messed up too. I'm going to do it by pushing the pads in. Apparently readjusting these pain in the butt pads one more time. The universe really wants. So we'll give it to it. Why not have the adjustment nuts on the back side of things with stays and cables and everything in the way? And of course we gotta do the other side. Tight ass work stand. Shit everywhere. Can't see nothing. Still looser than I want it. Could we slide this up some? So it's gonna change the tension all stupid? Probably. Why not? See what happens. It actually looks way better. Very excited. And to get this straddle up a little higher out of the way of the fender. Whatnot. Fix the brakes more even and snappy, and I have to mess with this barrel adjuster. It doesn't want to work. Hey, alright, coming together. Let's put this side back together. It looks like it was up higher and he slipped them down for some reason. I don't know. This is the side I dropped the nut on. This place is a disaster area. I lost a nut. There's tons of little hardware all over the floor. Everything except for that nut. So I went in my little part stash and I found a little acorn nut. Kinda looks like the original. Yeah, more or less. Should be cool. All the hardware off so it doesn't fall over the floor and lose it. So I'm going to put it back in the order in which it goes. So I went and looked at the rear to make sure everything's the same. It's the nice thing about not taking everything all apart all at once, is you can do fun stuff like that. Guys will tell you to take pictures and stuff. No one ever does. No one ever remembers them. You look at your pictures, none of them are the angle you want for whatever weird specific thing you're at. It's not a bad idea to take pictures, but you know, doing one side at a time is kind of a good idea. So you really look at the other side and see if you can figure it out in case you get lost or get busy or frustrated, don't come back to it for a few days or weeks or months. I always do when I'm doing car brakes. I only do one side at a time. Mags are weird. The other side's usually the same, but upside down and backwards. It's a good times. Yeah, this is weird. So these pads all the way in, the other one's all the way out. It's way too tight. Oh, it's not sitting in the ferrule. Now it's way too loose. Now it makes sense. I can hopefully just adjust it all from this side. A little guesstimate, do a little half-ass tighten. See if that's about right. Way too tight. So these pads have a fake Allen wrench hole in the front. That's basically so you can adjust the toe in, hold them in place so they don't move around too much. You can see the old dirt line. You push these pads all the way in for some reason I don't understand. Probably what in the fenders. Probably think he's solving some problem or another, but wiggle them back to that dirt line. I can push the pad in, see it's hitting the rim way too low, so I can take the Allen wrench and hold the brake and boop, boop, boop. Get it back up to the angle I want. Straighten it out. I can hold it in place, the Allen wrench. I'll tighten the other side so it doesn't move back down. And it definitely moved, not in the direction I thought it would, which is funny. Let's see if I can do a little adjust. Yay, a little adjust. Other side's gonna be the same thing. These little brake arms have lines on them, so I'm doing about one full line at the outside of the brake arm. You're sort of picking any spot to give you some sort of reference point. Try and get them both even. Toe is terrible though. Maybe I can make it out. Not really. I'm going to loosen the spit to get the toe where I want it. There we go. Too low, lift it up. About perfect. It's got some toe in. Every time you mess the brakes, you're likely to make them start squealing or to fix the squealing. Now it's crazy loose. That's okay because it's way off to this side, so I think I'm going to loosen this and bring it back up again. He had these up higher, he lowered them for some reasons. Maybe for real reasons, maybe for real reasons, maybe for imagined reasons. I won't know until we find out and get them more back in the correct place. Kind of want this thing to be pretty even. It kind of looks even, but it's so far over. That could be a spring tension issue. Who knows? It's definitely not sitting straight. Also, the stem could be hella crooked. No, that's about perfect. All the bolts on this thing are loosey-goosey. Now it's back to being about straight. Centered on the bike, centered on the head tube. That's giving me, if you can see this lever, it's giving me about half the lever travel, so it's about parallel with the bar, and that's really what I like. If it's too tight, you can barely pull the lever, you're not getting any leverage. If it's too loose, you really have to pull it hard, you might end up having them stretch and hitting the grip. But right about in the middle, parallel with the grip, will usually give you a ton of leverage and be super awesome. It is pulling way over though. This side's got a bunch of spring tension, this side has none. Let out some of that spring tension first, see what happens. So like lots of brakes, this has a spring tension adjuster. Like lots of brakes, this only has one on one side. So all the adjusting is on this side, it's all the way in. The other side's hitting first because there's still too much tension on this side. He made a point to tell me that the brakes were good. I'm assuming that's because he made all these adjustments and made it all weird because the pads are old and rock hard and everything's out of adjustment. I'll let it out a little bit more. Probably need to adjust the hanger a little bit more too. Now that one's moving too much. What is that telling us? I don't want to let this back out and make it even. It's working great other than this being crooked and ugly. I want you to look even. It looks pretty even there, pretty triangle-y. Let's see what that does. Ah, it moves. It won't move until this thing's so loose that it moves freely. I like low working tension. Things literally can't tell. I'm going to say this is probably a million times better. Whatevs, 4evs. Technically that might have solved it. I'm going to wipe the chain off with a dirty old rag and then possibly lube it a little bit more. It's also got about 6 inches old cable sticking out here. I'm going to trim that dude and put on a clip. Clippy. I got a cool purple one. The bike's purple. It's for a kid. Apparently she's all about purple and pink and rainbows and fun stuff. So a little bit of fun stuff. We did talk about changing the grips. It doesn't need it. Okay. Okay. Get out of there. Last night I was freaking out. This whole thing needed to be overhauled and I just wanted to replace everything. And then today it takes me like 5 minutes to make it all work. Those are kind of rounded true. I think all this thing really needs is a test ride. Still kind of want to replace the grips though. Straighten the stem, double check the headset tightness, test ride. I have a hell of a time straightening stems. I have astigmatism in one eye, and it's not easy. Sometimes I have to ride the bike. So I put it on the ground with the wheel straight forward, stem straight forward, and I cannot tell. It's within a degree or two, one way or another. If it's really bad on a test ride, I can usually tell. And be like, oh, I'm going straight and everything's a little crooked, and I just gotta do it like 2 degrees and come back and just do it those 2 degrees. And just hope it's better instead of worse. Okay. Lifting it up. Buttery smooth. I mean, it's got some cable and housing tension it's fighting, but, you know, gravity lets it fall. Sideways. All I'm doing is flexing the tire. I'm not actually flexing the bearing. You can also do the test where you hold the bike by just the saddle and drop it on a hard surface, and here you can go ting, ting. Sometimes that could be the press to valve jam nut, but usually that's a loose headset bearing. Sometimes the chain will ting, but see if we can tighten this down without it moving that bottom up, and it moved the bottom cup. I need 2 36 wrenches. So I need big adjustable. Move the cup a little bit, but it still seems pretty fine. 12-inch adjustable is not big enough for 36. Luckily I got that big boy 15 adjustable. You really do need it. You think you don't need it, you need it. 15-inch adjustable. Also is really great for bending things. Clamp this onto about anything, and use it a lot for frame building, tweaking dropouts and other things that needed it. Come on, Bob. Oh, I hate black bike parts. I cannot see anything. Okay, I'm going to hold that lower cup. I moved it back. I'm sort of using the bars too against my arm for extra leverage. tighten that upper cup. Double checking. Still smooth. I'm not feeling any rocking or play. It is probably fine. Hopefully it'll never move, but you know, it really might. I got the bars pretty, the brake rotor's pretty even. It's tester ride time. Alright guys, guy tuned up. Tester rotor runs fine. The back brake tried to squeal once and stopped. The pads are original, probably 40 years old, they're rock hard. Stops a quarter as well as it should. Oh, since it's got true temper OX Platinum 2, this is actually kind of a nice antelope with real tubes and stuff. Headset's adjusted, it shifts great in every gear up and down the road. I just want to double check that all these things are tight. And because the back is all goofy. I didn't really want to take it all the way back downstairs. The tires were totally flat, kept them riding on like 12 PSI, didn't seem to care. But yeah, this little cantaloupe thing seemed like the end of the world, and then was totally fine and took like 5 seconds. And now we are golden, and it seems to be great. So that is my video on the Cantaloupe Kids bike. Thanks for watching.